Now we've already gone over how to do CSS transitions for single properties, in this case background color. When you hover over, the background color animates. What about multiple things? Well, let's go ahead and set up a situation where we can do that. What I just did is I made the box absolute position, and it moves itself down 50 pixels. So when I hover over it, you'll notice that still only the background color animates. And that's because in my shorthand transition property, I've set it to only animate the background color. Instead, I can tell it to animate all. Now everything that changes for any reason will be animated over 1 second with a linear easing function. Now that looks okay, but it's not exactly what I'm going for. Ideally, I'd like the movement created when I go from top 0 to top 50 pixels to be smoother. I want a different easing function. Instead of linear, I prefer ease in out. I'd also like to set up a delay on the color. That way the color doesn't animate over the entire transition, only right in the middle of it. Also, I'd like them to be different lengths. So what I have to do is abandon my shorthand transition property, and instead use all of the individual transition properties. Those properties are transition property, transition duration, transition timing function, and transition delay. Transition property is talking about which properties we're animating over the course of the transition. In this case, background color and top. Transition duration refers to the duration of each of these individual properties' animations. So for example, the background color I want to animate over 0.5 seconds, and the top I want to animate over 1.5 seconds. We also have one called transition delay. I'm going to actually move that one above transition duration, because it makes a little more sense in my head. We can kind of see things over time linearly this way. The background color is going to have 0.5 seconds of delay, and the top is going to have no seconds of delay. What this means is, as I start the transition by hovering over the elements, the top will start moving immediately. Half a second in, the background color will start moving, and it'll finish around 1 second. Top will finish at 1.5 seconds. Lastly, I want to set up the transition timing functions. I'll set the background color's timing function to linear. Generally, that's a good idea for colors and other such things. But since top is a position, I want to set it to something smoother. Ease in out is a wonderful one. It starts at not moving at all, and it ends not moving at all. So it accelerates and decelerates. If I go over here and refresh, assuming I've done everything correctly, when I hover over, I should get an animation. And you can see that the color only animates in the very middle. So that right there is perfect. I'm going to change this top to 100 pixels. That way I can see this extra link here. The More Transition Info link is a fantastic resource for getting more information about transitions. So we're going to take a look at it. Here we have information on browser support for CSS transitions. He also talks a lot about vendor prefixes and how to deal with all of that. Down here he describes the different timing functions. If you follow one of these with your eye, you'll see what these different ease in, ease in, out, linear, custom, awesome, what these all do. So ease out will start moving very quickly, but it'll slow down at the end. Ease in does the opposite. It starts moving very slowly, but then it hits very hard at the end. Ease in out does both of those and ends up feeling very smooth. Linear, you'll notice, feels very jerky, but when you're talking about colors, jerky is very good. You're going from one color to another immediately. If you keep scrolling down, you'll find that we have information about delays. In this case, he's given a delay for each one of those balls, so they appear to stagger in and out from the center. Advanced delays, and then also a very long list of animatable properties. So for example, you can animate background color, the color. You can animate the background image, but only if you have a gradient set as the background image, etc. One thing that will mess up all of your transitions though is if you ever set display none. If you ever set display none and there's a transition, it'll skip that transition entirely.